Hey guys, welcome back. First of all, everybody, and I can see that we have almost 6 to 7 participants, right? So let me quickly introduce ourselves first of all. Then it's better to start the classes, right? So let me start with myself first of all. So if you know me, that's good. Otherwise, let me introduce. So my name is Law. You can call me Law Shah as well. Okay, I'm a dual CCI certified. So I did my CCI in the enterprise. You can call as a route switch if you belong to the 20s or 19th century. Previously, it was a route switch, and now it's called as enterprise. I also did my CCI in the data center as well, and my number is 63523. And if I talk about the working experience, right, I work for the Juniper, right, as a TAC engineer. I also work for the Cisco TAC as well. So I have a good experience. Overall, we can say the 8 years of experience in the training at the same time production as well. Apart from this thing, right, I have some blogs as well, which is published on the Cisco website. Like you can also check it. Now, that's all my about my introduction. So I have to go with the you guys as well. So can you, Anand, let's start with you because you is the first captain. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. Hello. Good morning. So it's I'm having almost like 16 years of experience into
Wow.
networking and almost like 4 years of experience. Initial 4 years of mine was with the training one. So
Oh, wow.
I've taken lectures on the CCN and the CCNP for the routing switching.
Okay.
And in 2012, I've applied. Went for the lab exam also for the CCI RNS in
Ah,
2012, but that
good.
was not cleared actually, but because I was just having the training experience and not the
Mm-hmm.
hands-on one, that too of the teacher level.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and right now working means I have also worked with Cisco for 3 years as an
Oh,
HT supporting Geo client.
oh, that's good. It's a normal tag, right?
Yeah,
And
actually.
SDA, high touch technical support.
Yeah, that's what actually, right. So we were into the HTTS team, the HTTS team.
Yeah.
So that was so, and almost like from 4 to 5 years, I'm working on the Cisco ACI.
Oh, great. So you have a
Yeah,
good experience and the training experience as well. You work for the multiple good companies, right? That's
yeah,
in attack engineer both, right? That's
yeah,
great.
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with the Mankaran Singh, right?
Thanks.
How are you, sir? Mankaran, can you hear me? Okay, let's leave the Mankaran, right? So Deva, can you introduce yourself now?
Yeah, hi,
Yeah,
hi, team, hi, everyone.
yeah.
I'm Deva Kandukuri. I have 9 years experience in routing and switching. Present I'm working in entity data.
Okay.
We have largest data center. Third largest data center in the
I
world.
know, I know.
So we are working. Yeah, that is good opportunity to me. But I don't have experience on DC level.
Okay.
Just I joined this one for to learn CCI, data center core level.
Okay, great. That's good one. Also, almost good experience you also have it working as a good company. And how about the Naveen?
Thank you.
Can you hear me? No. Okay, that's good. Puneet,
Yeah,
how?
Kaila. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
hi Naveen. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I'm unable to unmute it, so yeah. So
Okay.
I'm holding almost close to 16 years of experience on all the experience I carried from IBM, and I'm working with Kindle now. So
Okay.
I'm just working as a network services manager for Kindle.
Okay.
That's for internal network. So my background is into routing and switching.
Okay. So your background is how much experience you told me that? It's 8, right?
16.
16. That's great. Okay. And how about the Puneet now? Can you introduce yourself now?
Hi, Kumar. Hello, everyone. So my name is Puneet Singh. So I have 8 year of experience, currently working as an implementation engineer in entity.
Okay.
Just got to know that I also have a colleague known as Deva.
That's
He's
a good
also
way to
from.
introduce yourself, right? So we can get the familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
great.
yeah. So as Deva said that I am also, just human. Earlier I was into the operation. Now I just got into the implementation. So I want to, get a knowledge about these and all. So that's why I joined this way.
Understood. That's good. Ramesh, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Ramesh Chintala.
Uh-huh.
I have 3 years of network experience. And prior to that, I have around 7 years into the IT support executive work, does
Okay.
IT application support and IT.
Other point.
And I would like to, I want to get into one energy network specialization. So I want to grow in that. I want to choose that as a career. As of now, I just have an overview on just network monitoring, network switch and basic router and configuration,
Get the point.
and little bit of firewall knowledge. So I want to choose this data center specialization and to
Okay.
grow in that.
Understood. And how about Tahir? That's a good name. Tahir, can you hear me? Okay, if not, that's fine. So overall, what I got to know that from yourself, guys. So you have most of the person has a good experience. They work, everyone has worked with the route switch, right? And some of the people has worked with the ACI, some of the people has worked with the data center, like Puneet has worked with the entity, right? If I'm not wrong. So overall, I can get to know that, like, I have to start from the scratch level. So the reason to introduce introduction is that, so with that, I can get to know that how much experience you guys have, right? And what you know about the market right now, and what is your goal as at the same time, so that I can start the, topics accordingly. Now, let me tell you one thing about the, before I'm going to start the any of the, like, topics or any what we are going to cover it. Let me tell you about something which is very important about the Cisco exam, right? So if you know that, if I go in the back in 2020, right? Before the 2020, what happened? There was a CCI lab exam was happened. So to clear the CCI lab exam, you need to give the CCI written paper. Okay. So you first need to clear the CCI written paper, and then you can go in the lab exam. In the lab exam, what happened? There was a 3 modules, right? There was a 3 modules. The module number 1 is called as a T-shoot, right? And the module number 2 is called as a diagnostic, you can call it in a big long format. And the third module, you had a lab. That's how you will do the configuration over there. So majorly your lab section comes in the 5 hours of the section, right? And DAG was DAG and troubleshooting was the 3 hours of the section, right? So this was the lab of the 2020, right? After the 2020, what happened? Cisco has revised the courses. Revised the courses means what? Completely changed from the CCNA to the CCI level, right? So previously we had, if I go with the 2020, previously we had a CCNA data center. There was a word of the CCNA data center. We had a CCNP data center, right? We had a CCI data center. Same thing, we had a CCNA security, right? And we had a CCNP security as well. Same way we have a CCNP, CCI service security as well. So every tracks has a CCNA, like a CCNA service provider, CCNA route switch, CCNA security, CCNA data center in the previously 2020. So let's take example why Cisco has revised the course. Let me tell you that. So let's take example. This guy has done the CCNA in the routing switching, right? So they will only have an idea of the route switch. They cannot know about the security. They don't have any idea of the route switch, data center as well. So if they wants to get the knowledge of the data center, then what he have to do that he need to do the CCNA data center. Now, what this guy is saying that, hey, I also get some knowledge about the security. So you need to do the CCNA security. So this guy has to do the multiple tracks. What Cisco said that if the person has to do the multiple tracks, let me do one thing. Let me combine all this route switch data center security courses into the single one. So nowadays, if I talk about, there is no individual CCNA. So you have a single CCNA now. You have a single CCNA. That CCNA will give you some idea about the route switch, right? Guys, please pay attention. This will clear your understanding about the Cisco tracks. At the same time, this will be clear the understanding which path you have to choose, right? So then you have a senior CCNA route switch. You have also idea of the wireless, right? Then you will also get to know that about the security and some part of the data center as well. And the not last, automation and SDN. So if you do the CCNA nowadays, right? If you do the CCNA nowadays, you will get the idea of these things. All this information is there, but again, it's a fundamental knowledge, not the detailed knowledge. Now Cisco said that, hey, if you want to get a detailed knowledge, you have to go in the certain tracks. So now the tracks has been changed. So the route switch name, previously it was a route switch, right? This name has changed to the enterprise. Now I'll tell you why they have changed the enterprise. The reason is only that because we are running the routing switching technology into the company's network, into the organization network. And for that particular organization, we can call as an enterprise in a technical term. So that's why Cisco said, hey, let me put the chain the name. So we have a CCNP enterprise, right? Then if you want to become expert, a professional level, then you can do the CCNP security. If you want to become the professional level in the CCNP service provider, you can do the CCNP service provider. And you can also do the CCNP data center as well. I don't want to go with the every tracks. Let's leave this part. So this 4 track is very important to understand the behavior of the Cisco tracks. In CCNP enterprise, CCNP security, CCNP service provider, and data center, they have a one paper which is known as a core paper. They have a one paper which is known as a core paper. So that's called the encode, right? If I talk about the CCNP security also have a CCNP core paper that's called as core paper. Then CCNP service pod also have a SP core paper, and the CCNP data center also have a D code paper, right? So every track, right, you can see that we have a CCNP level of certification, every track. In this track, also apart from this one, the encode exam, you have some concentration paper. Right? So this guy also has a concentration paper, this guy also has a concentration paper, this guy also has a concentration paper, CCNP data center. Now let's take example, right? There's a guy, I'll take a name of this anyone. Let's say example of Naveen, right? And Naveen wants to do the CCNP exam, CCNP, just a data center exam. What he has to do that? He has to clear the, he don't need to give the exam of the CCNA. He can directly, if he has a good budget, he can go with the CCNA exam. That's not a big deal. He can give the exam of CCNP D code. That's a data center code paper. And he has to choose the one of the concentration paper. Whatever the concentration paper we have, let me show you that. So if you go to the Cisco website, I'll put the link of this thing as well. CCNP data center syllabus. And you can go to this track. So if you see that, so the first paper of the CCNP, the core paper, we have a 350601. This is the D code paper. So what I told you that this Naveen guy, he wants to clear the CCNP exam. I'm talking the CCNP exam, not the CCA. So he has to give the CCNP D code exam. Once they will pass the CCNP D code exam, that's a 120 minutes of exam. It's a purely written based exam. You don't need to have any lab over there, right? You can give this exam either at your home or either you can go to the Pearson Center, right? Once you pass this exam D code, right? To get the CCNP certificate, you need to pass the one of the concentration exam. Either you can go with the data center infrastructure, either you can go with the troubleshoot of the data center infrastructure, you can go with the ACI as well as, either you can go with the advanced level of the ACI, or either you can go with the automation. So these are the concentration paper we have, you need to pass. So if the Naveen wants to get the CCNP certification only CCNP, then he has to pass the D code, right? Or one of the paper, I'll take a ACI, that's a concentration paper. Then he will get the CCNP certificate from the Cisco, and he can see that, hey, you know one thing, I'm a CCNP certified guy. Let's take another example, right? So Naveen has a CCNP certification now, right? And he passed the CCNP D board paper and the ACI as well. That's a concentration paper. Now, let's say example, there's another guy. He said, hey, I want to pass for the CCI lab exam. That's the Govind, right? So the Govind is planning for the CCI lab exam. So for the go with the CCI lab exam, what he has to do that? He need to pass the decode exam. So there is no written exam like we have in the earlier days. So he needs to pass the decode exam. Once he will pass the decode exam, then what happened? Every tracks has a CCI lab exam, right? So this is the CCI enterprise lab exam. We have CCNP security, we have a CCI lab exam. CCNP service provider, we have a CCI lab exam, and the CCNP data center, we have a CCI lab exam. So he just need to pass the CCNP decode paper, Naveen, and directly he can go with the lab exam. Now, in this case, the Govind, right, this guy does not need to give the any paper of the concentration. If he wants to give the concentration paper, he can give it, not a big deal. But he can skip the concentration paper. He can save the money over there, and he can directly jump to the CCI lab exam. That's how the Cisco had changed the syllabus. So there's no CCNP, CCNA individual data center. We have a single CCNA, but we have a individual tracks for the every field. And we have individual tracks for the CCI lab exam. So the CCNP decode exam, that's however for the 120 minutes, right? And this is for the 90 minutes, the concentration exam, any of the concentration exam. If I talk about the CCI lab, this is divided into the two sections. That's one is called as a design section. It's very pretty simple, man. It's a 3 hours of the class, duration. In this design, what happened? You will get the multiple choice of question. Multiple choice of question means what? So let's say example, they will give you the question, hey, BTP is what are the modes of the BTP we have, right? So the BTP modes they will ask you, and they'll say, hey, okay, tell me the A mode, B mode, C mode, and the client mode. So of course the BTP mode is the client mode. So you just need to select the client mode, and you need to ignore the ABC, right? So the answer is a client mode. Same kind of question you're getting in the design. Don't confused with the word design means you need to go and configure and design the particular network, low level design, LLD, and high level LLD. You're not going to configure those things in the design paper. You just need to select the questions, and that's you need to give the answer. So this is the 3 hours of the exam. Once you pass this exam, right, then you will get the lab. That's a total 5 hours of the exam, right? So to achieve the lab exam, you just need to give the decode, and that's all. This is how the syllabus and the lab is designed for the Cisco data center. Till this point, anybody has a question, guys?
No.
Okay, okay. That's good. Now,
just
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
can we write? I mean, can you write CCI lab without CCNP?
No, sir. You cannot give the CCI lab without the CCI. You need to give the decode paper. As I mentioned that. So Govind has a plan for the lab, and the Naveen has a plan for the CCNP. So he needs to give the decode, and he needs to give the any of the concentration paper. I took the ACI one. So Govind has a plan for the lab. He has to give the decode paper.
Okay. And is this required for CCI lab any training for that one?
No, you just need to go with the training, and then you can go with the lab exam.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, if I talk about the syllabus, how we are going to cover, how we are going to start it. So let me tell you that.
Hello.
Yeah.
Could you please repeat this one, lab exam part? How can we achieve this exam?
So lab exam, what happened? You need to give the decode paper, the CCNP data center code paper, right? This paper you need to give it. And once you pass this paper, 350-601, right? That's a 120 minutes of exam. Then you can go with the lab, the CCI lab. So this is the key, you can say that, to open the door of the lab exam. You got
the lab exam, you have to do configuration?
Yeah, it's a totally design and configuration part. So the 5 hours you need to configure the complete lab, the complete topology. There's a lots of things we have. We'll see that, whatever things we have in the lab. And in the design, you don't need to configure anything. You just need to have a multiple choice of question. You need to select it and just need to pass it. Make sure that you need to pass the design exam. If you fail in the design exam, let's say example, you fail in the design exam, but you pass in the lab exam, overall you will be failed. Right? So make sure that you need to pass the both exam, design plus lab. Exactly now.
Okay.
Great. Now, how we are going to start the syllabus? So guys, as I mentioned that there's no any CCNA data center paper we have. So we are going to start the track from the CCNA to the CCI level of the data center, right? And we are going to see that how to configure the IP address on the Nexus devices, how to give the host name on the Nexus devices, how to give the telnet, how to configure the SSH, how to configure the VTP, VLANs, everything we'll see from the scratch level. and we'll go to the depth level of the any technology, right? If I talk about the syllabus, right, how I'm going to cover and what is there in the blueprint, then I'll explain. First, let me introduce my syllabus, then I'll go to the blueprint as well. So before starting the syllabus of the data center, let me tell you that two things is very important. One thing is any technology. Let's take example of the BGP protocol, any technology. And second thing, we have a operating system, like we have a Mac and Windows. So in the networking, what happened? We have a bunch of operating system. One is called as the iOS operating system. One is called as the XR and XE operating system, right? And another is called the Nexus operating system. So in this data center, we are only going to talk about the Nexus data center, Nexus operating system. We are not going to talk about the iOS, not even talk about the XR and XE. In a CCI lab exam as well, right? They will not give you the any iOS and XR. They will only give you the Nexus boxes over there. They will not give you the enterprise boxes and the service provider boxes. These operating system was introduced in the 90s, 80s time for the LAN and WAN communication. This is only for the service provider level, right? That's what was introduced in the 2004. And the finally Nexus comes in the picture in 2008, right? BGP, we have a different way to configure the BGP on the iOS. We have a different way to configure the BGP on the XR, and we have a different ways to configure the BGP on the Nexus operating system. I hope this picture is clear to everybody. What is operating system and what are the types of operating system we have in the data center, in the networking, and what we are going to learn it. We are completely going to learn about the Nexus operating system. Now, the syllabus that we are going to cover, right? The traditional networking, or we can say the technology, whatever the traditional technology we have. In a traditional technology, we have a layer 2, right? In our layer 2, we are going to cover about the VLAN, the first start. Then we are going to cover the spanning tree protocol, right? Then we have a DSCP as well. Then we have a FHRP as well, right? And then after once we have done this guy, then we are going to go with the port channel as well, right? And then we'll move to the layer 3. In a layer 3, we are going to cover the static route, right? We are going to cover the ESGRP protocol. We are going to cover the OSPF protocol. We are going to cover the ISS protocol. And we are going to cover the BGP as well. I know you guys have a question, why we are learning this thing. Does it matter to the CCNP and CCI? Yes, it is matter, right? So we are going to talk about this part. Once we have done this part, then we are going to move to the advanced technology, like we have a multicast, right? Once we have done with the traditional technology, then we move to the Nexus one. In the Nexus, we are going to talk about the hardware of the Nexus, right? Like we have a 1K, we have a 2K devices, we have a 3K, we have a 5K, we have a 7K, we have a 9K, we have a 6K as well. Forget to write it. Right. So we are going to discuss about the hardware of the Nexus, whatever the components we have in the 1K, 2K, 5K, 9K. So these hardware are totally different. Every hardware are running with the operating system is the Nexus operating system, but they are different to each other. So 2K is totally different than 3K. 3K is totally different than the 5K, and 5K is totally different than the 7K, and the 7K is totally different than the 9K as well, right? Once we have done this guy, Nexus hardware, then we'll move to the VPC. That's a virtual port channel, right? Then after once we have done with the VPC, then we'll go to the VDC, right? We are going to talk about the fabric path as well. That's not the practical, we'll do the theory. And at the same time, we'll do the theory of the OTB as well. Now, these two technologies are totally legacy technology. It's an older technology, but yeah, you have a clear picture to understand the VXLAN. You need to know the fabric path and OTB as well. Once we have done this part, then we go to the VXLAN. So the VXLAN will deploy in the 3 ways. We'll understand the ingress replication, right? Then we have a multicast way as well, which is called as a flood and learn. Let me write down this way. Flood and learn, right? That's a multicast approach. It's a unicast approach. So what happens if your service provider does not support the multicast? And what happens if your service provider do support the multicasting? So it's a different behavior. And then finally, we have a VXLAN behavior, right? So we are going to discuss all these things in the Nexus part. right? Once we have done with this Nexus part, then we'll jump to the ACI. So under the ACI, we have an end-to-end, like how to associate the port, right, to the particular switch. So let's take example, we have a switch over there, and this particular switch has a interface 0/0. How we can configure the VLAN on this particular interface, how we can configure the policy on this particular interface. Policy is like you can call as a CDP, LLDP, how speed, how you can attach this policy to this particular interface. Then also after that, once we have done the basic fundamental, then we are going to understand how we can provide the connectivity with the service provider to the ACI boxes, right? How we can allow the traffic from the one service provider to the another service provider, right? That's we are going to discuss in the ACI. And once we have done with the ACI, then we are going to discuss about the storage as well.
Law, just wanted to know, sorry for interrupting
No
for
issue,
now.
go ahead.
Yeah, for the ACI, right? Is it the multi-pod, multi-site setup will be also be
Yeah,
covered here?
that's I say that multi-pod and multi-site setup will be there, right? We'll
Will
see
be
the
there, right?
difference between the multi-site and multi-pod, right? Everything we'll see that over there in the ACI. The layer 3, layer 2 get L2 out, L3 out.
Yeah,
Then
there's a L2,
ACI
L3,
firewall
right? The
migration.
migration also, the PBR
Everything
basically.
we'll discuss that one.
That's PBR, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And then finally, we have a storage UCS. So in this one, we'll see that how you can manage the bunch of servers from the one location, right? So if I tell you in the simple language, right? So we have a fourth section. Section number 1, I call as a traditional networking. Section number 2, we call as a Nexus. Section number 3, we have a ACI. And section number 4, we have a storage UCS. Now, what next? The section 5, we are going to talk about the NDFC. I know it's not a part of the syllabus, right? It's a theory, but we'll do that. So it's a Nexus dashboard fabric controller. That's you can simply say that advanced version of not DC name. You have a theory, but we'll discuss some lab as well. If I'll try to install it, then I'll discuss the lab as well. Now, apart from this thing, whatever the things that you're going to learn, everything you're going to learn configuration perspective, right? And the design perspective. Like which one is better, which one is not better, whatever the topologies and how we can implement, how we can connect the PC to the switch, which switch should be placed at which location. We'll discuss everything, right? And everything we are going to discuss from the scratch level, right? As I mentioned that, like we are going to discuss the first, what is the layer 2 versus layer 3 topology, right? If you guys remember that, the layer 3 topology, we have a access layer, distribution layer, and the core layer. Many person still have a confusion about this part. Why we are moving from the layer 3 topology to the layer 2 topology? That's our college span and leaf topology, right? So many of the person who had did the CCNP and the CCI data center, they still have no idea what is the difference between these two guys and why we are moving to it from the layer 3 to the layer 2 topology. Most of the person think that okay, if you are moving to the layer 2 topology, right? So we don't see the layer 3. It doesn't matter, man. Production, right? In a production network, you can encounter anything. In a production, you can encounter let me tell you, the RIP protocol. It's a legacy protocol. You may encounter it. 7K, right? If I talk about the Nexus 7K, it's a totally end-of-cell devices from the Cisco, right? But it doesn't mean that you will not encounter in the production network. You will not encounter in the CCI lab exam, but definitely you will encounter in the production network as well. So many of the person has a confusion, okay, hey, law, the 7K has a BDC concept, but we don't have a BDC in the 9K. Then how we can do the multi-tenant over there? We do have a kind of BDC, but the name has changed in the 9K as well. If I talk about the labs, how you can do that? So if I talk about the lab, you can do the lab of the 9K on the EVNG, right? We have it, and all the 9K images are present. You can do all the labs of the EVNG. The networkings will provide you all the lab access. So this training is not only about the configuration and design. You can deploy in the production network. This training is all about you can go with any of the examination. You can go with the AC exam. You can go with the troubleshoot exam. You can go with the data center code exam. You can go with the CCI lab exam as well. Right? We'll see that let me tell you that in the VLAN, we have a protocol BTP. Most of the person even don't know that is BTP is enabled on the Nexus devices or not. So we'll discuss each and every aspect of each technology. Anyone has a question at this point, guys?
Law, just wanted to one thing. No, you will be covering the automation part also, right? Correct?
I'm so sorry, man. I really forget that. The most important automation. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, actually, because I
Yeah,
just
I
wanted to
forgot. I'm
know.
so sorry. I
Yeah,
forgot
no,
that.
that's fine. That's fine. No problem. Yeah, it
Yeah,
happens.
so automation, I'll tell you in the CCI lab exam, automation part is coming. It's a 2 marks of the question, right? It's coming in the examination. So through the automation, what do you have to do that? You need to configure the ACI, right? So you need to get the some EPGs, right? I know the EPG terminology is a little high right now. Don't worry about that. You will become, everything will become the easy after the 1 and 2 months. So automation is also will be there. So we'll discuss the Python as well. I forget that one. Now, these are the my syllabus that we are going to cover it, right? So if you see the Cisco syllabus, let me show you the decode syllabus, then I'll come to the CCI syllabus as well. Now, so if you see that according to the decode syllabus, so we have a 120 minutes of exam, right? As I mentioned that you can give the exam at your home or you can give the exam at your Pearson Center as well. So anyway, you can give the exam. So networking, we have routing protocols like a PIM, OSPF version 3, MPBGP, and the FHRP, right? And then after that, we have RSTP and LSTP protocol. Then we have a VXLAN EVPN. And then we have a ACI concept. We have the fabric set of MVM integration, right? At the NP level, I'm talking about, guys. This is the NP level, right? Then again, after that, we have a ELPD and the upgradation and non-upgradation, right? And then after that, you can go with the compute part. You have a UCS part where you can manage the B series and C series server, right? And then I have a storage networking. Once we are done with the storage, you have an automation picture. And once you have done with the automation, you have a security, how you can do the like in a AAA and the telnet, and how you can improve the security of the Nexus boxes by using the port security, the private VLAN. So many of the things is not present. If you see that the private VLAN is not there, the VLAN topic is not there, the VTP protocol is not there, the DSCP is not there, right? Many of the things is not there. Even though if you see that, I don't see the ISS protocol is there. ISS is not there. So that's why, see, if you see the syllabus of the blueprint of the Cisco, right? I really don't know that why they have not given the ISS protocol. It has to be there. Because if you learn the ACI, you must need to know the ISS protocol. So that's why I made my own, syllabus, right? Of course, this syllabus is going to cover your data center, beyond the data center as well. But these parts, we're going to discuss it. So it won't take so much time. It will take the 1 month to complete the L2 and L3 part. And then we'll jump to the Nexus one. Now, if I come to the CCI syllabus, if you see that, I'll put the link in the chat as well. You can.
Law, one more thing, with
Yeah.
respect to the automation, right, for DC Core,
Mhm.
we have in the blueprint, if you see, right, they have covered the Ansible and the
Puppet
EM
and Ceph,
scripting,
right?
the other set.
Puppet and Ceph,
So
right?
are we going to cover that one? Because you just
Right.
mentioned about the Python.
Yeah, so I mentioned the Python because the Python is a major section. So we have we'll cover the Python and Ansible as well, right? So through the Ansible, you
Okay.
can put the same configuration. Let's take example, you create the EPG through the Python. Same way you can create the EPG through the Ansible as well.
Got it. Thanks.
Now, so I put the, the link of the, all the syllabus. You can go and refer it as well. And if I come to the CCI syllabus, right? CCI data center, it has a huge, it's 8 hours of the exam. It's all the lab exam is happening. Only the 3 hours of the exam is a theory paper. But apart from the theory, you have all lab. So if you see the lab, right, it's a 5 pages of syllabus. In the CCI data center version 3.1, right, you have everything. Same like what you have done in CCNP. OSPF you have. Here they have introduced the ISS protocol. But at the very short level, like a single area, single topology, and SAP addressing, and the point-to-point broadcasting. So only you have two types of network in the ISS. One is called the point-to-point and broadcast. But don't worry, ISS will do the section of the more than 5 hours and 7 hours of the class, right? So I'll explain you how you can do the multi-area as well in the ISS protocol. Then we have a BGP, right? The most important protocol, right? That's going to help you to exchange the L3 and L2 routes as well. And then we have a BFD protocol that's going to detection, the faster detection, right? So BFD, you are going to apply on any of the routing protocol, right? So individually, you cannot run the BFD. You have to go with any of the routing protocol. FHRP, we are going to talk about the FHRP, how the FHRP is working, like a VRP and the HSRP protocol. We'll do the VPC lab, and in the VPC, we'll discuss the HSRP, how the HSRP can configure it, and what beauty you have with enabling the HSRP under the VPC. Once we have done this part, then we have a bunch of multicasting. We have sparse mode, right? So dense mode is not supported by the Nexus, guys. Remember one thing. Dense mode is supported by the IS router. It's not supported by the Nexus router, right? So sparse mode we have, and how we can deploy the RP configuration like a static and BSR as well, and the auto RP. Once we have done this part, then also we have two branches. Let's take example, same like a multi-site scenario, right? So we have one branch is running with a multicasting, another branch is also running with a multicasting, right? Let's take example, this is the Delhi, and this is the Bangalore, right? And they are running with the multicasting, right? They are the multicast servers over there. How we can provide the connectivity between these two guys? That's how the MSDB comes in the picture, right? So we'll do the lab of the MSDB as well. And then after that, we have IGMP protocol. So the PIM is it's a WAN protocol, you can call it. WAN protocol in the sense of what? Let's say example, you have a PC, you have a switch, you have a routers, and between the routers and router we have over there. And then again, we have a server. So till this point, we are going to run the IGMP protocol, right? Till this point, we are going to run the IGMP protocol. And from here to here, I'm going to run the PIM protocol. So the difference, you can see that the PIM has its own modes and own flavor. IGMP has its own flavor. IGMP has a certain message tab as well. So they haven't described the version 1. So we'll go through the version 1 and we'll understand what is the issue of the version 1. Then you can get to know that version 2 and version 3 as well. Then once we have done this part, then we have a data center fabric infrastructure like a fabric discovery controller. This is the ACI part we have, like how we can do the tenant EPGs, right? ESG, how we can do the networking VRF and bridge domain. Guys, don't worry about that. I know these words are too fancy, right? If you see that these words are too fancy right now, right? But it's pretty easy. I'm telling you, it's not a hard. It's just if you see that normal English language and versus the IELTS English language, same concept is over here as well. They have a fancy name, but the very easy to understandable. Then once we have done this part, then we have these are the fault monitoring, how we can monitor the ACI fabric. VMM integration also we have. We'll do the VMM integration. We'll also do the ACI firewall integration in the ACI as well, how you can integrate the ACI firewall, right? And then we have a data center fabric connectivity. You can see that we have a ACI and VXLAN eVPN. That's a fabric connectivity we have. Then we have a VRF Lite. You can do the OSPF authentication with the help of ACI. This is the one lab exam also coming. In the lab exam, I encounter not the OSPF authentication. I have encountered the BGP authentication in the lab exam. So when I passed my CCI data center exam, there was one question of the BGP authentication in the ACI. So they haven't mentioned that. We'll see that. And the transit routing, that's a interesting concept of the ACI. Previously, it was not there. In the older version of the ACI, if I talk about, this concept was not there, but now they have introduced it. So previously, the complete ACI setup, if I talk about, let me give this one. So previously, what happened, we have a ACI setup like this way. Let's say example. And right, and right. So this is called as a stub. A stub means what? If you remember that a stub area in the OSPF protocol, same concept. It is like a stub. So you cannot, let's say example, here you have a service provider and here you have a service provider. So you cannot provide the connectivity from this service provider to this service provider. You cannot do that in the previous older version. So that's why ACI was a stub. In previous days, what happened? ACI was a stub, but nowadays ACI is called as a transit. Transit means what? You can do the communication between the two service providers if they are connected to the different switches, right? And then once we have done this part, then we have, of course, the inter-fabric connectivity like a multi-site and multi-pod. We'll see that. In which scenario we have to go with the multi-site, in which scenario we have to go with the multi-pod, and in which scenario we have a ACI remote lib. This will clear your design perspective of your ACI. So here you will have a complete idea. It's not about the lab, forget the lab. Configuration, anyone can fetch it from the Google and put it in the boxes. It's not a hard thing. You need to understand the design perspective, which scenario I have to go with the multi-site and the multi-pod. and the ECI remote link as well, right? So we'll discuss this part in the design section. And then we have a data center compute. That's one of the SAN and LAN, like how you can manage the server from the one location. That's a controller-based networking. You can see that over here as well. So from the one centralized location, you can manage the server, you can boot the server, you can do the configuration of the server, or you can do from the one single location. That's called a UCS manager, right? And then once we have done with the data center compute part, then we have a storage protocol, like how the, like normally, if you remember that we have a LAN communication, right? So we have a switch 1, we have a switch 2, and we have a trunk link over there, right? Between the switches. And then after that, we have routers over there. Then also we have a trunk link over there. Then we have a router over there. Then we have routing protocols over there, maybe the OSPF. So these call as a Ethernet technology, right? In Ethernet technology, we have a Ethernet mechanism to send the packet, send the frame. But in the storage, what happened? It's totally different. In the storage, what happened? It's totally different. Let's take example. Let me give you the simple example. So we have a, let's say example, there's a user over there and there's another user over there, right? So switch 1 and switch 2. So if this user right now 1.1.101 and 1.1.1.2, they can easily communicate, right? There's no issue because they are the part of the same broadcast domain and the same VLAN as well, right? So if you want to break the communication, what you can do that? You can make a VLAN different, VLAN number 10 and VLAN number 20. Same thing, if you're going to achieve in the storage area networking, you don't have a VLAN over there. You have a vSAN over there, right? You have a vSAN over there. You can make a different VLAN with the help of vSAN. If I give you this example, zoning, with the help of zoning, what happened? You can prevent the users to communicate to each other if they are the part of the same network. So let's say example, they are the part of the same network. I want to prevent the communication. How we can do that in the layer 2 technology? You have a VACL, VLAN access list. Here you can do the zoning. So only the terminology is changed, but the concept is same. So once we have done with the data center storage part, then we have a security. Again, that's a private VLAN concept. We have a contract, we have a port security, how you can apply it. We'll do the lab of everything, man. We'll do the lab of the private VLAN as well, how you can enable the private VLAN. Then after that, also policy-based routing, inter-VR communication, prefix list, how you can apply the prefix list over there on the Nexus boxes, how you can do the route map as well. That's what you have learned in the route switch, right? Then services like NTP and DSCP as well. And traffic management, that's a QS part. I forget to mention the QS over there, man. Right, so you have a QS over there as well, right? And then after that, we have a Puppet, Ceph, and the Ansible Terraform, right? That's our automation part. So that's the last topic. And last but not least, we have a orchestration. So this is just a description part we have. So if you see, we have a Nexus dashboard, the orchestration, how we can do the fabric control inside we have. So they haven't mentioned the NDFC over there. We'll discuss the NDFC as well. So this is a new approach to configure the data center, not the data center network. With the help of NDFC, it's a controller, right? So with the help of NDFC, you can manage not the Nexus devices. You can manage the ASR, you can manage the normal XC router as well. So that's the beauty of the NDFC, and that's why people are you are leveraging this feature in the production network right now. All good, guys. Anybody has any question regarding the
No, I
topics?
guess the NDFC, that's a Nexus Dashboard Fabric Controller, right? It's basically used for the Nexus devices, right?
No. That's why I mentioned that. NDFC is not all about the NDFC is not all about the Nexus only, right? I'll tell you how this NDFCs work. So NDFC, basically what happened, this is the one of the controller we have, right? It's a stand for Nexus, but it doesn't mean that it's only going to monitor the Nexus. It's same like a BTP protocol. It's known as the VLAN trunking protocol, right?
Okay.
It's known as the VLAN trunking protocol, but it's not a trunking protocol. Okay, so it's just not a Nexus. You can manage the Nexus, you can manage the XC, and you can manage the XR as well.
Yeah, got it.
That's a NDFC. It's a controller. So it's a new terminology. Many people, even in the market, most of the people don't know about the NDFC, and they are afraid to deploy the NDFC. Yeah, even yesterday night, I got a call to deploy the NDFC for this one. It's a very hard, not hard, we can say it's a new technology, and there is no documentation so much available on the what we call on the Googles and the books, the Cisco Press books has no information on the NDFC. So that's why most of the people don't have any idea. DCNM was a Nexus board. It was there in the lab exam when I gave it the version 3.0. So I passed the version 3.0 lab exam in the last 2 years. I think 2022 I passed my exam. And but nowadays it's the NDFC is coming in the lab.
Okay, got it.
All right. So these are the technologies that we are going to cover it. Now, how we're going to start? We are going to start all the configuration on the Nexus 9K. That's a virtual image you have on the EBNG. Right? So we'll do the lab. The good part, if I tell you, right, the Nexus, if you compare it with the normal XR and the iOS router, let's take example. Understand this very beautiful concept we have, the difference between Nexus and iOS router. So if you're going to enable the router EIGRP, right, you can enabling on the iOS router, you can enabling on the XC router, and you can enabling the XR router as well. There's no problem. They will not give you any error message. But if you put the same command on the Nexus one, they will throw the error message. So in Nexus, what happened? Everything is like a feature base. Feature base means what? You first need to enable the feature, then you can do the configuration. This helps the Nexus, right, to improve the performance of the devices. It is something like that. If you don't have a requirement of the EIGRP, why should I enable the EIGRP over there? Right? What Nexus said that, hey, I don't need a EIGRP. I'm not going to enable this feature. In a phone, normally what happened? Let's take example of the laptop. In a laptop, what happened? Whatever the application, do you need it? Let's take example of the phone. If you need a Paytm, right? If you need a Paytm, what you can do that? You just need to install the Paytm in your phone, and then you can use the services of the Paytm. If you don't need the Paytm, what you can do that? You just delete the Paytm from your phone. So if the Paytm app is not there in your phone, I can improve the performance of the phone. If the Paytm app is there in the phone, then some process will be consumed by the Paytm. Same thing is happening in the Nexus. If you have a requirement of the EIGRP, on the EIGRP. If you don't have a requirement of the EIGRP, let's off the EIGRP. But in the case of iOS XE and XR, it's not like that. Never matter you are the enable or disable, your EIGRP is on, man. Your OSPF is on. Every single features in the XR and the XE, few features we have in the XR and the XE as well. That's a license base. For that one, you need to improve insert the license. But the mostly it's already enabled everything. So that's little bit degrade the performance, but the Nexus improve the performance. It's a purely feature based and the license based. So whatever the features you need it, you need to enable it. So even can you imagine that I cannot configure the SBI interface as well? The interface VLAN, if you guys remember that. Interface VLAN 10, that's a SBI interface. It's a layer 3 interface. Normally you can create on the XR and XE, but you cannot create it on the Nexus iOS because this feature is also disabled on the Nexus. So that's a beauty part, right, of the Nexus operating system. All good? Anybody has any question? Yeah, go ahead.
But Kumar, in feature also, I think in Nexus we have a licensing bundle like to enable the feature to get the
most
feature.
of the things, but whatever the labs we need to do that. For that thing, we don't need to enable the license.
Yeah. So can you also include the licensing part
yeah, we'll discuss that, whatever the license we have in the Nexus, like enterprise license, base license, transport license. We'll discuss all those licenses as well. Like a types of license we are going to discuss, but we cannot show you to implement the license, right? But types of license we are going to discuss it. Whatever the types, that's a part of the Nexus. When I say the Nexus, it's not about the Nexus like a 1K, 2K, and 3K. It's all about how we can deploy the licenses, how we can do the configuration. Let me give you the example of this one. Let's take example of the VLAN, right? VLAN means what? So on a Nexus, what happened? You simply go and create the VLAN number 10. Fine, it's working over there. But when it's come to the private VLAN, it will throw the error message. He said, hey, you know one thing, I have a configure the VLAN, but you cannot configure me. First, you need to wake up me, and then I will provide you all the services. So you need to enable the feature of the private VLAN, and then you can configure the private VLAN. So it's not like that if you're enabling the VLAN, it will enable the private VLAN feature for you as well. So some features is enabled on the Nexus. Some features you need to manually enable it, because most of the companies, let me tell you that most of the companies do not require the private VLAN. So if they don't require the private VLAN, then why should they consume the resources of the private VLAN? So that's why Cisco Nexus said, hey, don't worry about that. I'm going to disable the private VLAN. If you need it, enable it. Right? You got the point?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, so this is all of the what we call topics that we are going to cover it. If you want anything from your side, you guys also let me know.
How about lab access? You will have a particular topology, or what kind of access will be provided?
Yeah, so lab and access, everything will be provided by the networkings, right? They will give you everything access, right? So you have every labs are pre-built on the EVNG. If you want, right, I will create the lab on the EVNG. So let's say example, you are doing the lab of the OSP protocol, right? Let's say example. So I will have already lab created on the EVNG server, right, for the networkings. If you want to create and if you want to modify, then you can also do that. Sometimes what happens, some people don't give to allow you to modify the labs and everything, right? If you want to explore something more, you can also do that. So they will give you the access and everything.
And will you share any soft copy material to us?
Yeah, that's a good part. So if I talk about whatever the books, right? Once we have done this part, right? Once we have done this part, ECI and storage and automation. What books that I'm gonna refer to you guys, right, to read it. So that's a first of one of the interesting book that I love it. Fundamental Nexus. Right. So this book is one of the interesting book that you can read it. It's give you some detailed information about the layer 2 and the layer 3. But it won't give you so much information about like a VTP protocol, some interesting facts, right? For that thing, you need to go with the Cisco configuration guide. That also I'll give it to you. Don't worry about that, right? So one of this book that I'm gonna refer to, understand the technology. Second book that I'm gonna tell you, I'll give the link as well if you want. The PDF format is available, right? I'll give you the PDF format. If you want a hard copy of this one, so you can buy it from the Amazon, right? Then we have a Cisco ACI, Cisco Press. This is a second book that's I'm going to refer to you to read it. Okay, I have put the link for this. Right. The third I have UCS Datacenter. 1 minute. UCS Cisco, not this one. Yeah, this one. Right. And then we have this guy's one. It doesn't go.
And for this thing, right, I just wanted to add here, right, for the Cisco ACI cookbook is available actually.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cookbook, right? I know.
Yeah, that also you guys can refer it, right?
Yeah, that's amazing also.
Yeah, it has two edition for the theory and for the deployment part also, the day 1, day 0 to the operation level stuff. That can also be done actually. That has been covered there.
But the book that I referred to you, right? That's book you give you the design level of understanding.
Yeah, got it. That's correct.
So this is the CCNP data center code book. So if you don't want to read the individual book, let's take example, then you can follow the one single bundle book. That will give you the little bit knowledge about everything. So if you're not a bookist guys, right, then I can recommend you please read the books. That's I can recommend everybody. whatever the doubts you have in any books, bring it to me. I'll help you that in that case. Okay. So read this book. It's an interesting one, right? If you don't want to explore the multiple books. So this single book will give you all the knowledge, but again, not the detailed knowledge, the short and crisp knowledge you will have it, right?
Okay.
The last but not least, when we have a VXLAN EVPN Cisco press. That's it. I have all the PDFs with me, guys. I'll send you all the PDFs, right? So don't worry about that, about the books and everything. You will get the all knowledge. This is also an amazing book. If you read this book, you will have a clear understanding of the VXLAN EVPN. Not a big one. I think it's just about 350 pages of the book. You can just cover in the 2 to 3 weeks maximum. But amazing books, right? I have read the 2 and 3 books of the EVPN as well, but this book has a different level of the description. The author is amazing, right? They put everything right like we call sometimes, so everything is in your plate, right? You just need to have it. So same thing is there. So everything they have given you, right? The topology base, the configuration base, everything they have given you. Only the thing is that you will not have these things. What we call here we have. So the configuration of the ingress replication and the flood, I think so. I'm not able to recall properly right now, but I didn't think so. The like a separate individual configuration is not there for this one. You will have it, but you will not understand in those book. But yeah, the VXLAN EVPN pure configuration is present over there. Right. So these books that I sent you, these are the important books. You can refer to read it. If you don't want to read all the books, then you can go with the data center code book. That I can help you that. Anyone else has any question regarding the books?
No, what would the duration of it? The entire thing that you said,
Entire
right?
thing will take the 4 to 5 months.
Okay, let's say if I'm looking for the automation and the storage part, then how much time it will take to reach that side?
See, I'll tell you. So this
The
one.
flow would be traditional network, Nexus,
Yeah.
ACI,
So
storage, and automation, right?
yeah. So why I have started with the traditional network? The reason is that I'll tell you. Don't call as a traditional network. I call this guy the traditional technology, but it's not like that. To understand the VPC in the more depth way, you
Yeah,
will
yeah.
go with the
I
VPC
understand. I
channel.
understand that thing. Yeah, I understand. It's a flow actually. We should
Yeah.
take care of everyone, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
good to have it.
the reason is that why I start the port channel, because I have seen the people has a knowledge of the port VPC, but they didn't read about the port channel. So there's a concept is like active and active, like in the PAGP, sorry, LSCP, right? The active and passive. So in which case we need a passive mode. Which case I need a active mode. I have seen the people are deploying the active, and they have no idea. They will just say, okay, the active means what? You're gonna start the sending the packets, and I'm gonna receive the packets. Okay, then what is the mode of the P? Then why Cisco has introduced the P mode, the passive mode? Where is the PAGP protocol? Where is the BTP then? So everything is different. So that's why we're going to start from the traditional. So I think so. That's a plan for this. How I'm going to cover it. So 1 month for this one, 1 month for this one, right? And 1 month for the UCS, ACI, and the storage UCS. And then it will take the 2 weeks for the automation.
So, if we will have 2 day session, right? Over the weekend, the Saturday and Sunday.
Over the
That
weekend, yeah, we have so approximately I can say that 100 hours the session will take, right? And 100, maybe they go with the 110 hours as well, and it will go with the 95 hours as well. It's depend on the flow. And
okay.
2 hours every weekend, like a Saturday and Sunday, right? Like today and tomorrow. 10:30
Okay.
a.m. morning to the IST to the 12:30 p.m. IST for them.
Okay. Fine. And
All
that's
the
fine.
recorded
Yeah.
visual. So sometimes what happens, let's take example, you're not able to attend the class. So you will have a recording of that one on the networking portal.
Okay. I think here we won't be covering the CCI thing, right? The CCI lab part, because I had inquired for it, but I got to know that
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Okay, that's fine.
Not to better discuss on this call right now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine actually. So, log, okay, if it is fine for you, right? Can you share me your number so I can just talk to you later
No, you can
if
connect.
you are
You can
okay with
connect to
that?
the network things, right?
Hmm.
It will help you that one.
Okay,
What
fine.
are the
Actually,
questions? What are the
actually,
doubts?
yeah, actually, I just wanted to because I've not enrolled it for now, but I wanted to know the content of it, how in depth we will be going in the session, right? Because for now, right, I just asked for the DC, right? Because I don't know about the storage UCS and the automation. The rest of the thing I know pretty much well actually.
So Anand,
So
storage cannot be covered in this, and however, nobody can cover because we have to take a labs from like it's a paid lab.
yeah,
Not,
yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
not wrong, storage is not here, right, in this course.
No, it is there,
It's
no
there. It's
storage.
there. I mentioned that.
UCS part is there actually. Yeah.
I mentioned that.
That's
Everything
what
is there.
actually, yeah, that's for
Everything is
that
there.
reason actually Mankaran I was asking, right? Law, because it is covered in the DC core syllabus and law also just mentioned that thing as well, right?
So
Okay, fine,
everything.
fine. That's fine. I'll just take this up with Mankaran right later on, right? I can
Yeah.
just check with them. Fine.
Everything is there on the front of you guys. Is ACI we have, storage we have, UCS we have, NFC we have, automation we have, the Nexus we have, VXLAN we have, and the traditional technology we have. So normally, if you see that, I'll tell you what I have personally encountered with the students, right? What they have problems. They know the Nexus, they know the VXLAN, they know the ACI, and they know the storage as well. When I ask the question, hey, tell me, can I manipulate the anything in the ISS protocol in the ACI? So they just say that ISS is by default enable in the ACI. Why should you gonna manipulate it over there? My question, can I manipulate it over there? Because of being a TAC engineer, right? Right. So if you're working in the like in companies where you don't like you're troubleshooting the AC and if you're not able to do that, then you need to reach to the TAC engineer. So being a TAC, you need to know everything. What I can change it, what I cannot change it in the AC.
Yeah, that's correct actually. Normally, the company engineers are not doing it actually, but we can modify that parameter as
I'll tell
well,
you the
right?
BTP protocol, right? BTP protocol
Yeah,
is a transparent mode in
correct.
the Nexus. If you ask someone, like what about the BTP protocol in the Nexus, they will say that BTP doesn't support by the Nexus. It do support. It is in transparent mode in the Nexus 9K. Only the transparent mode. But if I talk about the 7K and 5K, you can go with any mode. Client server and transparent as well if you want in the server 7K and 5K. But in the Nexus 9K, it's totally different. Then they will ask the question, then what is the need of the transparent mode in the BTP protocol in the Nexus 9K? Because they are just going to configure everything is locally. So the use case is over here, man. So let's say example, you have a Catalyst device and you have a Catalyst device in the different location, but in between you have a Nexus. In that case, I need a BTP protocol to be turned on. Right? So everything has a requirement. You just need to understand the scenarios, right? And the concept. Because if you do not turn the BTP on, they will never carry your message. So let's say example, this is the server, this is a client, you get the VLAN number 10 over there. And this is the Nexus box in between, we have a Nexus 9K. And if you're not going to enable the BTP protocol, by default, BTP is disabled on the Nexus 9K. Then how you can pass the VLAN 10 from here to here? This thing you're not going to learn in the data center. Normally, I'll tell you. Not learn it. So that's why I introduced the traditional networking. I say that. So these things you need to know. You got the point? What I'm trying to say over here?
Yeah, that's what actually needed, right, for everyone, right?
Yeah, that's a important concept, right? That's a say that design. So if you see that many of the person has passed the CC exam, lab exam, if you just ask me, hey, tell me one thing, the BTP is in disabled by default on the Nexus. First of all, they will say you BTP is not supported by the Nexus. Why they are saying that? Because BTP is in transparent mode. Okay, that's good. Then what is the role of the transparent mode on the Nexus 9K? So if you have a scenario like this way, then I need a BTP, man. Then I need to turn on the BTP features on the Nexus 9K. But
That's what actually, right? Correct.
7K is totally different. 5K is totally different. Do you know that a DHCP server is not able to configure on the Nexus? Okay, let me tell you the basic example. Though we have a PC over there, that's I connected to the switch. Okay, you tell me what is the basic command line. Let me give you this example. Then you will have a clear understanding. This is just a switch and a catalyst switch we have, and just a PC. And this is the interface we have 0/0. And then we have a Nexus, right? And then we have PC again. And then we have a interface 0/0. So in the Nexus, you don't have a fast Ethernet, a gig Ethernet, and 100 gig. You just have Ethernet, only Ethernet. Okay. So I'll explain you why the reason only Ethernet. There is a reason behind it. Now, you tell me what is the basic configuration to require to map this interface into the VLAN number 10. What do you think? What is the basic configuration to require to map the interface into the VLAN number 10 on the catalyst device? You need to go under the first, you need to get the VLAN number 10. Then you need to go under the interface and see the switch port, mode access, and switch port, access, VLAN number 10. This is the how you can configure it, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Now,
Yes.
what do you think? How about the Nexus now? VLAN number 10, exit, interface 0/0, switch port, mode access, switch port, access VLAN. This is how you guys configure, right? Sorry, it's 0/0, sorry. Is that clear? Can anyone tell me, is it a right way to configure the Nexus?
I guess no, right?
I guess so, right?
It's not actually.
Oh, it's not. Then
Yeah.
how?
For the SVI, we are using the feature, right? For enabling
Forget the
the
SBI, it's a
SVI,
native
right? Yeah,
interface.
just an L2, right? Just
It's
an L2.
L2. Forget
Yeah.
the SBI. I'll tell you what
I
happened.
need to recollect. Basically, it's almost like on the Nexus 4 to 5 years are back actually.
What I'm saying that's why I'm trying to fill the gap. So there's a gap always. So even person did the CCI data center training, they always have a gap of this thing. I have encountered the student many times. They always even I encountered one guy 10 days back. So, hey, I did my ACI, I did the UCS and everything. I want to learn about the ACI. And how about the traditional? I know everything, man. I know the VLAN, I know the BTP protocol. This command is not required in the Nexus. It's by default enable. No need to mention this command line. What this command is going to do that in the traditional? Disable DTP protocol.
Manually or statically enable the access.
Yeah, no need to have this command in the Nexus boxes. Many things is different. People think that Nexus is a switch. That's how the people thinking. Dude, it's not a switch. It has a capability of routing and switching as well. You can call it a layer 3 switch, but beyond that layer 3 switches, some of the Nexus devices by default, all the ports are the layer 2. Some of the Nexus devices by default, all the ports are the layer 3. It's depend on the line card. It's depend on the model by model. So the gap that you see from the route switch label to the data center, right? People do the ACI, people do the UC. People always focus on this part. UCS, ACI, VXLAN, people, mujhe ye karwa do, this part. Then who is going to talk about the Nexus? You got my point? What I'm trying to say over here, the gap.
The base should be strong.
The base should be strong. No one talks about the ARP protocol. Have you ever seen that when people are teaching the data center, they talk about the ARP protocol? Have you ever seen that when people are teaching the data center, they talk about the BTP and private VLAN? The DSCP? No, they start the technology from the VPC directly. Okay, let's start the VPC first of all. Why should I start with the VPC, man? To do the VPC, we have lots of things. To understand the VPC, you need to first understand the VLAN, the spanning tree protocol, the LSCP port channeling. The spanning tree is totally different than the in here. compared to the Catalyst. By default, RSTP protocol is the RPBST protocol is there in the Nexus. You don't have a PBST. Many things is different in a Nexus. If you do the redistribution between the routing protocols, what do you think that they will extend the route by default? They will not. It's totally different. You need to do the policy over there in the Nexus. You need to apply the route map to extend the route. So I'm not denying it, the advanced technology that we have ACI, that's a SDN solution, and the storage UCS. You don't learn. It's important because these are the advanced technology. These are the technology that we are implementing the production report. But these technologies you are implementing on the Nexus or traditional technology. So you need to know the base. Don't look always over the overlay network. You have an underlay network. Without underlay, you cannot create the overlay network. You must need to know the underlay architecture. And that's how we are going to learn the technology. So tomorrow when I'm going to start the today, I'm of course not going to teach you anything, don't worry. So tomorrow when I'm going to start the technology, I'm not going to start from directly from the VLAN. We are going to start from the ARP protocol. How the ARP is working, right? What is the ARP timeout? What is the MAC address aging timeout? So the way of MAC addressing aging time in a Catalyst, we have a 300 second. Here we have a 1800 second, something like that, 18 or 1500 second. ARP timeout is different over there. ARP timeout is different over here. So we'll do the ARP, then we'll do the VLAN, then we'll dump to the STP, then DSCP, FHRP port channel, and then layer 3 we have how we can configure the static route. So the way of the static route is a little different. Not I can say a little different. The one thing you cannot do that is static route in the Nexus devices. In the 9K Nexus, you cannot do that. One thing, which you can do that in the any of the operating system like iOS, XR, XC. ISS protocol, most of the people hate it because the docs is not available so much. I love this protocol to teach it because it's there in the service provider, it's there in the enterprise network, it's there in the data center network. So when you're learning the ISS protocol, don't learn according to the data center perspective. Learn this ISS protocol according to the enterprise, according to the service provider perspective. Because this is the amazing protocol. It's the only one protocol that's based on the layer 2. No attacks. All good?
Good, sir.
Anyone else, guys? Anybody has any question regarding how you can proceed with the training and whatever the question you guys, you can feel free to ask me because you have a time. And because I'm not going to start anything, don't worry today.
What is the proposed timings here for the training?
It's 10:30 a.m. morning.
Till it's a 2 hour.
12:30 a.m. 4 p.m. Sorry, IST. Saturday, Sunday. So data center, one more question is the people has it. Law, I am learning the data center, but my friend suggested to learn about the cloud. This also comes in the picture. Let me tell you that this is different again. Cloud somewhere is a data center. Somewhere. You are accessing the cloud. Cloud means what? For example, layman example I give you. You need a 12 GB RAM. You need a 4-core processor. You will just reach to the Amazon Web Services and say that, hey, I need this requirement. Can you give it to me? So he will give it to you the one IP address, and based on that IP address, you can log into the particular PC that has a 12 GB RAM. Understand the logic. You access virtually. But in backend, somewhere, that particular server is present. So the job role of the cloud engineer is totally different than the network engineer. In 2019, when the people were deploying the automation in the networking, people said, hey, automation is going to kill the network. Did he kill it? No, they introduced the lots of jobs. So things are logically different. You just need to understand the logic behind it. If you understand the logic behind it, you will get to know that each and every technology and stick with the technology. like if you are in the networking engineer, stick with the networking. It's a huge package, man. Amazing package we have in the networking engineer. All good?
And AI will impact anything on networking.
AI is not going to do anything. Let me tell you.
Okay.
AI with the networking, what he is doing that, I'll tell you. Let's take example.
No, sorry for interrupting. Actually, I will be just dropping off from the session right now. I just wanted to have some word with Mankaran actually for the discussion actually. So, anyways, you won't be starting with the session today, right? Okay. And thanks for the session right you taken right and to give out the picture about the curriculum and the things that you will be covering it out. Okay.
Thank you.
See you
Thank you.
soon, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See you soon, buddy.
Yeah. Bye.
So
Thanks.
if I talk about the AI in the networking, right? AI is a totally different. Let's say example, you have a OSPF protocol and you are working on the OSPF protocol and there's some, break has happened in the OSPF protocol. So you make some documentation of the, like, any of the tool, maybe the ERPM and CRM, any of the tool, you make that documentation. So what AI will give you? The AI will give you the summary of that particular things, what happened, and they can recommend you what you can do to troubleshoot the network. AI itself not come to troubleshoot your network. Understand the logic. AI itself not come to debug the things at the packet level.
And design also.
Yeah, it's just helping. It's just helping the network engineer to reduce the load. So if any technology is coming in the market, don't afraid with them. It's gonna remove the job. It's gonna cut down the job. They are just helping you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's good, man. So I think so. That's for done. So if you guys have a question, you can feel free to ask me. Otherwise, we will start the session from tomorrow, not today. So we'll start the tomorrow with the ARP, and then we'll jump on the VLAN. So this part of the tomorrow we'll do that.
I'm good, Shah. Thanks for the session. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Please ping me if you have any doubts. You can reach out to the networkings.
Hello.
With all the infos. Yeah.
Can freshers get after completing this course? Can freshers get jobs on this domain?
Definitely, man. There's a huge jobs openings in the data center. If you go and check on the data center, like a requirement in the Noida and the Bangalore, it's an amazing level of the requirement is happening in the data center right now. So learning always helps you. If you don't learn it, nothing will help you. That's I can say that. Okay.
How much package will get in a fresher?
That totally depend on your learning, man. How much you grasp it. That's a very, very important. That's I made the gap, right? Remember I gave the example of the switchboard mode access and switchboard access. So if you know that particular gap, you will ask them multiple package. So packages depend on the two things. One is your knowledge. If you have a good knowledge, but if you don't have a confidence to ask the money, then you will lose it. But if you have a knowledge and you know yourself, then you can ask the money to the company, hey, I need a 30 lakhs of the package or 20 lakhs of the package, they can give you. Two person is there, one, they have a knowledge, but they cannot ask the money because they don't know the worth it. If you know the knowledge and if you know the worth, you can ask the money. So that's, I can say that to you. It's important on the knowledge is very, very important anywhere. So how much knowledge you grasp it, that's a very important for you.
I don't have data center experience. I have just network monitoring and basic switching and routing and firewall.
That's I say that now. That's our training is not all of us start from this directly VPC or any of the hardware Nexus. We are going to start from the very basic VLAN, right? The very basic ARP protocol. I know you came in that day as well, right? If I'm not wrong. You asked me, I asked you the same question. Do you know the subnetting?
Okay.
You say that, yes, I know the subnetting.
Yes.
Right? So you just need to require of the subnetting knowledge. That's all.
Sure.
Right? Anyone else has a question?
Okay.
No? If not, then it's good to drop, guys. So thanks, Deva, Govind.
So tomorrow we have class, right? So same time.
Tomorrow we have a class same time.
Okay. Could you please create any WhatsApp group for communication?
Yeah, definitely we'll do that. Tomorrow we'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you. So see you everybody. See you soon.
Thank